That's great, thank you. Now, so at this time, I need to say good morning to the rest of Dorchester Community Church at Ackland Road. Can we welcome them at Ackland Road, because they're going to be seeing this on Sunday morning, okay? Let it known that you're here, please. Make some noise. Hooray! Okay, that's good. Just want to share a few minutes about that passage that Martin has read to us, and then you've got the opportunity to chat about that in your own groups as well. I don't know who your favourite comedian ever was, but one of mine from a few years back now was Tommy Cooper, and I did toy with the idea of putting on my trusted fez and doing a Tommy Cooper impression, but I thought this is going to be shown on Sunday morning at Ackland Road, I better not go there. But you probably remember, some of you, the slapstick sort of humour that was Tommy Cooper, particularly the going to the doctor type jokes. Doctor, I've broken my arm in the same place 3 times. Well, don't go there then, the doctor would say. Or he would say, doctor, my arm hurts every time I do that. And he said, well, don't do it then. The kind of quick fire humour that Tommy Cooper would throw out. But it would be all too wonderful and easy, wouldn't it, if all you had to do was just do that or to not do that, and something therefore didn't go wrong, or something that was healed suddenly was fixed. But of course reality is not like that. If you know something of Jill's story that she was sharing earlier, you'll know that this is many years on, many years of pain. With regards to the instance that we've had read from Luke chapter 7, not too sure how long that servant was not well for. But this whole subject of God has come to heal is a tricky one, isn't it, for all of us. This week, I was at an incredibly emotional funeral, an unplanned and an unexpected death. So many questions, so many answers, and yet we'd already had in place this prearranged theme, God has come to heal. What happens when he doesn't? I wonder if you've ever asked that. What happens when he does some, but apparently not others? We can't go round and round in circles. It's a tough question. Here in our passage, we see here that one man knew that if anybody was going to bring about a change that he knew he wasn't able to bring, it was going to be Jesus. Let's take hold of that. A little bit of the background. Jesus had walked down from the brow of the lone mountain outside Capernaum, his adopted home. He just delivered what would become the most famous sermon in history, the Sermon on the Mount. When he entered the town, he was met by a small delegation of Jewish elders, the leaders there. They had an urgent request. This was the Roman centurion whose servant was expected to die shortly. The centurion had asked these elders to go to Jesus on his behalf to see if Jesus might be willing to heal his servant. One of the elders then quickly added, he is worthy to have you do this for him, for he loves our nation. He's the one who's built us a synagogue. Now, 2 things would probably escape us as we had that reading read to us. Firstly, Jewish leaders were not in the habit of being fond of Roman soldiers. Secondly, Roman soldiers were not in the habit of being fond of the Jews at all. If you know your history, you'll know that they were far from being good friends. The centurion himself would have been one of the most unlikely people to have amazed Jesus. But that's what he did. He was a Gentile. What does that mean? Well, he wasn't one of God's people. So he wasn't one of these, one of the flock, one of the religious at all. He was somebody from outside, a man of war, someone who achieved that particular rank of centurion by distinguishing himself in such a way against others in brutal Roman martial arts. A bit of a strange CV for someone to be hailed as a Bible hero, but he is, because Jesus marveled at this guy's faith more than anybody else in the Gospels. You may well around your tables like to think of someone else that he also approved of their faith. Wasn't male, the other was a female, but again someone who was a Gentile, not one of the religious, not one of God's people, which is interesting, isn't it? Jesus hadn't found faith like this in all of Israel, amongst all of God's people. That's a challenge, isn't it? He found faith outside of the church, you could say. Anyone can have faith. I don't know where a variety of people are at in their journey, but the encouragement to you is that any one of us is able to have faith. Secondly, any one of us is able to have a relationship with God. So God, in that passage, comes to heal. But it's in a very unusual way, because there are others that were sent on behalf of the centurion, who was sending them on behalf of the servant that was sick. That's very different to James chapter 5, if anyone is ill, let them call the elders, etc., etc. It's very different to Jesus drawing alongside someone who's asking for healing, and then they have an encounter with Jesus and Jesus touches them, or what have you. This doesn't happen at all. And yet we know that the servant becomes well again. And if you follow those verses through, just have a think about maybe the moment when that healing takes place. 3 things that are key for the Christian believer that I want you to think about in your groups. Firstly, that we need a high view of Jesus, a low view of ourselves, and then thirdly, a heart to care. That's what I want us to think about. When you think about that centurion, how highly he held in regard at the name of Jesus. Secondly, the humble view he had of himself. But thirdly, something that triggered that heart to care. So there's 3 questions, but you're going to have others as you break into groups shortly, which you guys on Sunday morning won't have opportunity to do. Do we have a high view of Jesus? Maybe this weekend is an opportunity for time out to put him in the place that he deserves to be. Do we have a humble place and view of ourselves? And do we have a heart to care? What better opportunity to demonstrate that than a weekend away together? Okay. We're going to now have an opportunity for you to be in your group. If you don't like the look of those people around your table, then sit somewhere else. Andy on my left there is going to be